some of the key features of the Innovative Medicines Initiative. Indeed, our goal is really to be a driving force in the quest of new therapies. We are not doing this alone. There are other public-private partnerships, other models which are needed indeed to develop those new medicines that patients are waiting for. So this public-private partnership has been created jointly by the European Union, the European Commission, and the European Federation of Pharmaceutical Industries and Associations, which gather the European branch of all major large pharmaceutical companies. And the principle underlying this partnership is that the companies invest in our project. They invest on their own resources, and they do this jointly between companies because they realize the advantage they have to indeed share knowledge, expertise to tackle some of the most difficult challenges. They realize that they have to work together as companies, but even that is not enough. They need partners outside industry, in academia, in small biotech, among patients' organizations. And those partners are indeed funded by the European Commission. So you see the total budget, which is quite impressive and has to be spent, is 2 billion euro until the end of 2017. What are we doing with this budget? We implement research and development as well as education and training projects based on these principles. Pre-competitive research, we already discussed about this. On the principle of selection of the industry partners through a competitive process in which we use independent experts to select indeed the best partners for industry. And the third concept is open collaboration, meaning that we do everything we can to indeed exploit these new ways to collaborate based on open innovation and to disseminate as well as rapidly and as efficiently as possible the knowledge which is created, which is beneficial to industry, but also which is very beneficial to academia, small biotech, and at the end of the day, obviously, beneficial to patients. So in practice, all of our projects are conducted by consortia in which we have always several large pharma companies working together, as shown here. Again, they don't receive funding. Actually, they invest on their own resources. And their partners that I already mentioned receive the public funding from the European Union. So these are the logos of our 40 projects which are currently up and running. The last two were launched very recently. So obviously, we have no time to tell you in detail what's happening there, but in a nutshell, you have to realize that nowadays there are almost 600 academic teams involved in the project, more than 100 small biotechs. As you can see here, 363 teams from the large pharma companies. We have patients' organizations as well as regulatory agencies. As you can see here, we already committed 1.2 billion euros to these 40 projects. And nowadays, across Europe, we have more than 4,500 research scientists working on these projects. So it's good to have this budget, it's good to have all these teams involved, but are they really collaborate? So we recently, in collaboration with Thomson Reuters, conducted an in-depth analysis and a mapping of this collaboration, and the results of this report is now publicly available on our website. But I will simply show this map showing indeed this collaboration throughout Europe between these different partners, and you see that, as expected, there are collaboration between academia and industry, and this has been measured by, indeed, collaborative publications, but also between academia and SMEs and SME and industry. So it's good to have this collaboration, this team, but what are they doing? So they address key challenges, and again, you will find on the website and on other publications the most spectacular achievements, but I would like just to emphasize here some of the challenges that are addressed and some recent achievements. Disease heterogeneity. You know, that's a major barrier to the development of precision or personalized medicine, how you would like to call it. And we do a lot to promote the development of a new taxonomy of disease. One example, one of our consortium established a consensus on a new definition of severe asthma. Now, it's good to have a new classification, but you need the tools, and tools validated, accepted by the regulators to indeed classify your patients and then to change the way you develop drugs. For this, you need validated models based on cell lines, on animal models, sometimes on rare human disease. And our consortia are developing these new models, as well, obviously, as new biomarkers to be able to predict much more efficiently not only the benefit, but sometimes also to anticipate the potential side effects of drugs. And this word predictability is really critical, because to be more predictable in the action of drugs is benefiting first the patients, but also industry, the payers, everyone. We have to review the way clinical trials are designed and the regulatory process related to the way drug development is conducted. And again, there, our consortia are working on it. And just to give you one example, one of our consortia, by pooling data from different trials conducted by 8 different companies, demonstrate that it's possible to reduce the number of patients as well as the duration of observation in trials with new anti-schizophrenia drug. Again, this is beneficial to everyone. In certain disease areas, such as antibiotics, obviously, you need new incentives for the pharma companies. Otherwise, no antibiotics will be available to tackle these new challenges related to antimicrobial resistance. And we recently launched an ambitious public-private program really allowing to reinvigorate the research on new antibiotics. Finally, and this will be my last word, and this was also mentioned by Marta, one key challenge to be overcome is the change in mindset. And the change in mindset is true for everyone. It's true for industry, it's true for academia, it's true for the way drug development is perceived in our society, not only by patients, caregiver, but I would say by the public in general. It's also a change in mindset of regulators, also the way regulators are perceived, etc. And I think and I hope that this joint meeting will indeed illustrate the type of actions that our public-private partnerships are indeed conducting to induce this change in mindset. With this, I would like to now invite the discussion panel. And before doing so, I would like to briefly introduce the moderator of this panel, who will be Dr. Orla Smith, who is the managing editor of Science Translational Medicine. I'm sure that you all know this journal. Orla has a scientific background. She's PhD in biochemistry with a keen interest in stem cells and also neurodegenerative disease. She was previously at Cell, the famous journal, as well as more recently Science, before becoming this manager editor of Science Translational Medicine. You understood that many of the projects we are conducted are indeed directly related to translating results of research into standards of care. So we saw that you was really the ideal person to chair this discussion, and I invite you as well as the panel members to join us for the discussion.